Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining this session. My name is Karan and today I'll be talking about integrating the Google Assistant for continuous integration. So before I begin the presentation, I would like to thank the entire team of the Natives in Tech Conference 2022 for giving me this opportunity to present my talk. So thank you so much. So here's a brief background about me. So I have been working primarily as an Android application developer for the past 5+ years now, and I've been involved mainly in developing B2C and B2B based applications. I've also been involved, developing applications on cutting edge technologies like AI, AR, and VR. And more recently, I've been also involved in a couple of DevOps projects as well. And I would say, apart from being passionate about technology, I also love writing poems, traveling to different places across the globe, and meeting new people. So that's about me in a nutshell. Now, in order to understand more about today's presentation, we need to first try to understand three important terms, and I think these terms are more or less very familiar to all of you, and you might have used it in your day-to-day life. The first is basically agile development, which ever since the Agile Manifesto has been introduced, everyone is familiar with this term. So they say that agile development is winning, and the reason is that it produces better quality, it has an improved efficiency, and most importantly it is result oriented. So one need not actually wait to fill the frag end to finally get the final product. You can actually see the results and in kind of in phases. And the next term is something called as a culture of continuous integration, which again might many of you have already heard about it. But the important part is that in continuous integration, it is important that all the integration tests or all the integration results which are there are made visible to all the stakeholders. It involves integrating more often and placing all your assets into a centralized repository and applying the best software engineering practices on them. And the thing that I'm excited particularly about is about voice first technologies. Now they say that voice first technologies are the next big thing, and one needs to understand why exactly. So let's understand more about this. So now they say that we all love data, right? So Gartner is one research organization out there which has predicted that 25% of digital workers will use virtual assistants on their phone by 2021. So this is something that is a big prediction. And one can actually see that the number of smartphone users is going to increase day by day, and the number of users using voice assistants on their smartphones is also going to increase day by day. So however, say considering the fact that the users are going to increase, there's also some problems which are right now associated. So right now as developers, we are no longer working on the simple systems out there. Our systems are no longer a single system where it has simple backend and a front end. We are now working on complex heterogeneous systems where you have multiple multiple backends, and you have to connect to multiple kinds of systems. In this case also, as developers, we are we need to also ensure that all the test cases what we write are correct, and they run properly. And we try to identify defects as early as possible. But the only concern is that we need to do all of this, all the tasks that we do, we have to do it against time. So time plays a very important factor in this case, and time management becomes especially important. So moving on, so as software developers, or even as software professionals, we all want information to be on the go. So what do you mean by this? So we all need information so that we can access it from anywhere, be it mobile, be it web. So we need this information so that we can do certain tasks based on that. So it is important that all this information that we have, it comes to us on a date, on a very frequent basis. So, like for example, in case of a DevOps environment, you would say that when was the last build delivered, or how many test cases actually passed or failed, is some of the questions that we often seek answers to. So moving on, we need to also understand, like if in case we had to implement a solution, but in order to implement a solution, we need to understand what are the challenges basically involved in implementing this kind of solution. So the first challenge that exists is about the dependency and the communication, and this becomes especially relevant when you are working in large software projects where you have stakeholders which are of different backgrounds. So you have cross-functional teams where you have maybe a software tester, you have a developer, you have someone from the 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 project management side. So communication becomes a very important factor, because even the slightest of miscommunication can create a wrong product. And secondly, basically, we need to understand that a lot of time basically has been spent around developing interactive web portals, and a lot of websites have been developed. But then the fact is that a lot of time has been already spent, and then the more the time we spend on it, the more the time we have to spend on maintaining it. So all these factors are also contributing to the challenges that exist as of today. And one of the key challenges that exist is about personalization. So personalization is also something that we need to take into consideration, especially when you're creating any kind of a voice based interface. So, coming to the proposed solution basically involves creating a voice-based interface that leverages AI. So, in this case, we will go with something called as DialogFlow, and this is basically used to communicate using a natural language. So, we can use natural language for communication. So let's see the architecture of the system. So the architecture of the system basically involves two blocks. So one is an integration and a fulfillment block. So the integration block consists of something called as intent matching. So intent is basically an end user's expression. So an intent matching would basically mean to match the expression which is provided by the user against a set of particular known phrases. So in this case, if you want to say start a build, so the word start would be basically would resemble an intent for you. And this is basically followed by webhooks. So webhooks are nothing but kind of connectors which would basically connect to some kind of a service. And in this case, as you can see, the webhooks are basically will be connected to some kind of a RESTful API. The RESTful API would be again something that would be exposed as a part of the underlying CI framework. So in this case, I have used Jenkins, for example. And using this framework, one can actually connect to the the underlying APIs, and then use the information from the the CI system to basically provide any kind of response back to the user. So if, for example, if the user says he wants to view the status of particular job, so all he would say that tell me the job status, and this would basically should be able to fetch that job status from the underlying CI framework, and retrieve it back to the user. So, this system basically has a lot of ups and downs, but then there are a lot of things that can be improved, especially on the intent matching. So here, since we're using Dialogflow, we have the advantage of using the ML based, either the ML based or the rule based grammar, which helps to improve the accuracy of the matching of the intents. In this case, the fulfillment, as a part of the fulfillment, we have developed APIs which can be hosted on any a cloud service. So in this case, I have used Hiraku as a platform as a service to host those APIs. But in any of your project, you can use any other platform as well. And this would basically serve as a backend, so that it can connect to the APIs, and it can also fetch the information directly from the CI underlying CI system. So what are the benefits of this kind of solution? The benefits basically are in terms of saving of time. Yes, definitely it will help to save time and a lot of manual work, and it uses natural language. So definitely there is a lot of scope in terms of how one can use the system, and how in terms of the training as well, because since it uses natural language, one need not actually explicitly have a kind of a dedicated training for this. It can it can be given to any any person, and he can use it freely. And this kind of a system basically helps you to streamline, I would say, the DevOps kind of processes. So even in case of a remote scenario where people are not working in office, and they want to access the system from their smartphones using and want to understand what is the status of certain jobs, then they could do that using the voice assistant on their phone as well. So, moving ahead, so these are the couple of references based on which I created my presentation for today. And, we are also talking about in terms of how the future of this kind of solution exists. So, yes, the future, it's depends on the number of interfaces, the voice-based interfaces that are, going, increasing day by day. So, smartphones and tablets, are already personalized. we see a lot of wearable devices also coming in into the market, so maybe definitely that would be an area. In terms of, I would say, security and user verification is, one area where a lot of research is ongoing, to improve that parts, because authentication becomes especially important when you're using a voice based communication. And I would say that going forward, yes, if one can have voice based assistants or voice assistants integrated into their own DevOps kind of environment, it would definitely help to benefit at least a lot of people in terms of carrying out their their mundane task, and help to reduce the time to take that takes to carry out those tasks. So once again, I would like to thank the entire team of the Natives in Tech conference for giving me this opportunity. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email. And thank you so much again for joining in. Thank you.